Okay, so this is the back of your note page, and this was what we talked about the second day. So a lot of this is also a review from 8th grade. We're combining like terms, which means we look for things that have the same variable raised to the same power. So number one, I'm going to circle my like terms. I have a 5x, a positive 4x, and a negative 1x. These are all like terms because they all have an x. When I add them together, I get 8x. And I'm just adding the coefficients out in front, 5 plus 4 minus 1. And then I have a positive 1 and a positive 4, which add together, and you get positive 5. And that's it. Those are not like terms, so that's the answer to this problem. We're just simplifying. Number two, I have a 2x and a negative 8x, and when I put those together, I get negative 6x. Then I have negative 7 and negative 1. Added together gives me negative 8. On number three, I have 3x plus 2x. Make sure you're including the sign when you circle your like terms. 3 plus 2 is 5, and I keep the x. And then I have a positive 4 and a negative 2, which gives me positive 2. It's like 4 minus 2. So all we're doing is putting together the like terms. Number 4, I have a positive 3x and a negative 1x, and I like to write the 1 in, and a negative 5x. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 minus 5 is negative 3x. And then we have negative 3 and negative 9, which added together gives us negative 12. And that's your review of combining like terms. Now if I go down, we're going to talk about distributive property. This is also a review. It's when we multiply the number on the outside of the parentheses by everything inside the parentheses. So number 5, I have 3 on the outside times x times 2. So 3 times, there's really a 1 in front of x. 3 times 1 is 3, keep the x. 3 times positive 2 is positive 6. Number 6, 2 times an invisible 1 is 2r. 2 times a negative 4 is negative 8. And then this one right here is an invisible 1 out front, so it's negative times 2 is negative 2x. And negative times a negative 11. Negative times a negative is a positive 11. And so now we're just going to put it all together. We're going to distribute first. So 2 times 6 is 12, keep the x. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. And I'm going to bring down my positive x. And then I'm going to combine like terms. So I have a 12x and a positive 1x. 12 plus 1 is 13x. And then we're going to bring down the minus 8. And I no longer have any like terms, so that's the answer. We're going to do the same thing on number 9. We're going to take this negative 2 out in front. We're going to multiply it. So we get negative 2m and negative 10. Bring down the minus 4m. And then we're going to combine like terms. Negative 2m, negative 4m. So that gives me negative 6m minus 10. And then the last one, we're distributing a negative 3. But this time my extra is out in front, so I'm going to bring down the x before I distribute. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, keep the x. Negative 3 times negative 4, negative times a negative is a positive 12. And now I'm going to combine like terms. I have a positive 1x and a negative 3x, which gives me negative 2x, bring down the 12. So these are all things that you learned last year or the year before, and now we're going to apply them to solving equations. So we always need to check for the distributive property first. Then we're going to combine like terms. And then we'll solve it like we did on the front of the paper. So brick wall, first thing is we have like terms on the same side. So I circle 6c plus 2c, which gives me 8c plus 6 equals 38. There was no distributive property this time because there weren't any parentheses. But now it looks like a two-step problem where we boxed in the variable and then we got rid of the constant by making a zero pair. So that becomes 0. And then I have 8c equals 32. And we're going to divide both sides by 8 to get c equals 4. This time, when I plug it in to check, I have 6 times parentheses plus 2 times parentheses plus 6 equals 38. And inside those parentheses is the 4 that we got as our answer. We would type that whole thing into the calculator to see if it works. Moving on to number 12, brick wall. This time I have distributive property, so I'm going to multiply -3 times everything. So that gives me -6x, and a +3, a negative times a negative is a positive. And now it looks like the front. So we're going to box in our variable, make a zero pair, -6x equals -18, and then we're going to divide to create that invisible 1 that we don't write. So x equals +3. And we're going to plug it in. So I have -3 times 2 parentheses minus 1 equals -15. And inside the little parentheses is our answer. Okay. Number 13, brick wall. We start with distributive property. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2m is 12m. Bring down your -3m. And then I have like terms. I have 12m and -3m. So I bring down my 6. And this becomes a +9m equals 24. And now it looks like a two-step. So box in your variable, make a zero pair. 9m equals 18. This was 0. Divide by 9 to create your invisible 1. So m equals 2. And then when we plug it back in, it would look kind of long. It would be 6 times 1 plus 2 parentheses minus 3 parentheses equals 24. And everywhere I put those extra parentheses, that's where the variable m was. And that's where I will put my 2, and I would type that whole thing into the calculator and check it. All right, last one. Brick wall. I have distributive property. So I'm going to multiply that out, but I'm going to bring down this -5x first because it's in front, and then I distribute. So I have +3x plus 3, and then bring down your -4x equals 45. And then I have combining like terms, -5x, +3x, and -4x. And when you add all of those together, you get -6x. Bring down the +3 equals 45. And now it's a two-step problem. Box in your variable. Create a zero pair. So this is my 0. Negative 6x equals 42. Divide by negative 6. So x equals negative 7. When I plug it in to check, it's very long. Negative 5 parentheses plus 3 times, I have another set of parentheses, plus 1 minus 4 parentheses equals 45. And everywhere I put those parentheses is where I'm going to put this negative 7. And I would type the whole thing in and see if it said true or false.